Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the what's next on Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world at 168 pounds and the face of boxing. He's the cash cow. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, I did a Canelo sweepstakes video last week, which I always do after a Canelo fight, going over what I thought are the top 5 options for Canelo. Exclusively just those guys. This one is, I mean, it's similar to an extent, but it's really to go over options from any weight class around Canelo that he might consider fighting in, you know? So I'm going to do that in this video. But like I said, a lot of it is very similar. You're going to hear a lot of similar information, but, you know, we will mention fighters that I didn't mention in that one last week. Those 5 fighters that you might be wondering, like, why wouldn't, for instance, David Morrell be an option or something like that? So we'll get into that. Of course, we're going to talk about everybody in the top 10 at 168 right now, but we're also going to talk about guys from 160, and, you know, even other guys like for instance, Tim Tszyu and Jermell Charlo and Bud Crawford. So let's get into it and let's get rolling and look at what's next for Canelo following his dominating one-sided 12-round unanimous decision over Jermell Charlo. So, you know, let's talk about Bud first. We mentioned him in last week's video. If the fight with Errol Spence falls through the rematch, I do think it's possible that Canelo entertains a Bud Crawford fight. Now, Bud did come out a few days ago or a week ago and talk shit about Canelo. He posted, he said, isn't it funny that Canelo won't come down to 160 to fight me, but he said he would come down to 160 to fight Errol Spence. That is true. Canelo did say that. But maybe now, you know, maybe Canelo's being smart and like, hey, I don't really want to get sucked up for a guy that beat the shit out of the guy I was considering fighting. You know, I mean, I can't blame Canelo for wanting to fight at his normal weight and not wanting to cut weight. But I also get Bud's point. But do I think this fight is possible next? I do. He was in my top 5 last week. I do believe this fight is possible for next May. But the fight with Spence is going to have to fall through for sure, and then the chances go up. So we'll see what comes from that scenario and then go from there. But yeah, I could see Bud Crawford moving up 3 weight classes and challenging Canelo, and I don't really think Canelo or anybody else is going to have a problem with that, because Bud's the pound-for-pound king of boxing right now. In my opinion, he is. He earned that right by not just beating Errol Spence, but by absolutely fucking dominating him, and then also being a quote-unquote avoided prior to that, you know. So yes, Bud has done a lot and achieved a lot, and I think he is possible to move up in May to fight Canelo. He's the only welterweight that I think is being considered, though. 154 pounders, I know Tim Tszyu mentioned fighting Canelo, possibly. He had thrown the name out there. I don't think Canelo would fight Tim Tszyu, even if Tszyu beats Brian Mendoza, because Tszyu would be coming up 2 weight classes just like Charlo. So in that aspect, maybe he would, but Charlo was the undisputed champion. Tim Tszyu has more to prove. So I think Tim Tszyu could be a potential opponent in the next couple years, but I just don't think he's a possibility next for Canelo, an option next for Canelo. You never know, but I don't think so. Anybody else at 154, I don't see it. 160, I really think the guys with the, you know, the most logical chances would be Jermell Charlo, but Charlo is going to have to look impressive against Jose Benavidez Jr. Like, I think he's going to have to dominate Benavidez and maybe even knock him out, or if at the very least a one-sided decision to earn the Canelo fight. I mean, Canelo might fight him anyway, but I think that's his biggest chance of getting that Canelo fight, is to look absolutely impressive against Jose Benavidez Jr. when they fight on November 25th. Jaime Munguia. I like Munguia. mentioned it in last week's video. I like him as a potential opponent. It's an all-Mexican fight. But the problem that I have is that he's not a PBC guy, and I really believe that PBC wants their fighters in this 3-fight deal, their guys, to get cracks at Canelo. So I don't think Munguia is going to be a possibility because he's not a PBC guy. But you never know. Other than that, you know, I don't really see anybody. Chris Eubank has been calling Canelo out. I don't see Canelo fighting Chris Eubank Jr. I don't think there's an appeal there for Canelo to fight Chris Eubank Jr. Not yet, anyways. You know, Eubank looked good against Liam Smith, but he hasn't really. And I heard they're thinking about having him fight Conor Benn in December. But outside, you know, but I just don't see a major appeal for Chris Eubank right now as an option for Canelo. So I'm going to say no to that one. You never know, but I don't see that one. And outside of that, that's all at 160 that I think are potential opponents. Now, let's go up to 175 before we come down to his way to 168. And really, Arthur Beterbiev is not a possibility. Just a tough matchup, but also Beterbiev's got his January fight locked up. He's got mandatories due. I don't think Canelo would fight Beterbiev until he's undisputed. And Dimitri Bivol's the other option. A rematch with him. I do believe that this one is a possibility, but I keep saying it over and over, and I don't know why Canelo won't do it. But I think if Canelo really wants his revenge, have Bivol come down to 168 and fight him. If he beats Bivol, he can fight whoever he wants after Bivol. And then Bivol will still be a champ at 175. Then Canelo can move up to 175 once he's done at 168 and fight Bivol in the third fight. The option's always there. You know, I think that's smart. Canelo already went to Bivol's weight. Now have Bivol come to Canelo's weight. And that was Bivol's idea. So I don't know why Canelo won't do it. I do believe Bivol is an option either at 168 or 175. I do believe Canelo could definitely talk the PBC into some kind of a compromise. Like, for instance, I think Canelo could say, hey, I'm going to fight Bivol in May. Have Benavidez fight Charlo. If Benavidez gets by Andrade, or if Andrade gets by Benavidez, have the winner of that fight Charlo, and then I will fight that winner in September. I think that scenario is a possibility. Not to say it's going to happen. I just think it's a possibility. I personally don't think that it's going to be Bivol in May, but I could definitely be wrong about that. And I think that's the one fight the PBC would be willing to bring over a guy that's not a PBC guy fighter for, because I think Canelo really does. He does want the rematch, but then he doesn't want to fight Bivol, if that makes sense. I think he wants to fight him because he wants to avenge that loss, but I think there's a piece of him that doesn't want to fight him because maybe he lacks the confidence that he can actually beat him. And that's the truth. I'm a Canelo fan, and I'm saying that. So, we'll see. We'll see about that one. I personally don't believe it's going to be Bivol, but it could be. Now 168 is actual weight. So, David Benavidez. If Benavidez beats Demetrius Andrade, and especially if he dominates Boo Boo, I absolutely think it should be Benavidez next. But, and it could be. Canelo could fight him. But I also did in the Canelo sweepstakes video last week, I did say that I think Canelo could also have Benavidez fight on his undercard in May to build that fight with Benavidez for next September. So Benavidez, to me, I believe he's going to beat Boo Boo. But I don't know if he's going to get the very next fight with Canelo. But I do believe he's on Canelo's radar for 2024, though. You got Caleb Plant, a rematch. That Canelo's not considering that. Benavidez beat Caleb Plant, and Canelo knocked out Caleb Plant convincingly, so there's no reason for Canelo to fight him. So no, not an option. A rematch with John Ryder's not there. Canelo dominated him. No appeal for Canelo there. Demetrius Andrade. You know, Boo Boo, if he beats Benavidez, I really think he has a strong case to land Canelo. I did say that that I believe that the winner of Benavidez and Andrade have a serious chance of landing Canelo. I think that has to be kind of the first, you know, the fight that makes the most sense for Canelo. But I also believe, like I did with Benavidez, that Canelo could build towards that and have have Andrade fight on his undercard in May and do that. But to be honest, I think Benavidez is going to beat Andrade, and Andrade is not going to be able to, he's not going to be able to get the fight with Canelo after that. But he has a possibility, because if he wins, he could get it. I already talked about Munguia. Derevyanchenko, no. Just not a big enough name. He's lost too many fights. You know, Canelo wouldn't get anything by beating Derevyanchenko. David Morrell Jr., the WBA regular champion. Canelo hasn't been mandated by the WBA to clear up this belt. So, and Morrell's a threat, and he's a high-risk, low-reward fight. You know, he really is. He really, outside of clearing up that belt, which nobody really has any interest in that, even the public's not demanding that fight, this one doesn't make sense for Canelo, so why take it? Vladimir Shishkin, who is the IBF's #1 contender right now. You know, he's staying busy, but the IBF is not ordering him to fight Canelo, even though he's calling Canelo out. I really don't think the governing bodies are going to start getting on Canelo to make mandatories until next year, sometime after he's done with the PBC deal. So Shishkin's not a big name. He's not going to be an option for Canelo. And then Edgar Berlanga, I think, is kind of an outside option. I don't think he's really done anything to where Canelo will fight him, but he could get on Canelo's radar. He's a way outside option. So overall, my top 5, you know, I mean, the options for Canelo are limitless. I really believe the winner of Andrade and Benavidez is next in line, or should be. But if not, it's going to be either Charlo or Bud Crawford if the Spence fight falls through, or Bivol. So it's really that top 5 right there that I think are the most realistic and logical fights that Canelo's going to take. If you want to throw a couple middleweights out there, like maybe even Erislandy Lara, you know, maybe Canelo will be like, hey, he's a PBC guy, I'll fight him, and leave no doubt that I'm better than him now. Maybe. But I really don't think there's going to be a big appeal to that. Plus, Lara, you know, even though he slugs it out more, you know, if Canelo doesn't knock him out, he's only going to get criticized. So, it's really up in the air, but I hope Canelo gets a good opponent next. You know, at least a guy that we want to see fight, and go from there. So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That's my what's next on Canelo Alvarez, the reigning undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, and the face of boxing, the cash cow. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.